Stephanie, I just want to give you a welcome. Thank you for coming back with us. We enjoyed you the first time. We're going to enjoy you even more this time.
Thank you. So I guess we'll dive right in. No one has any questions. Okay, wow. All right. So I'm gonna pull up while I'm talking my Facebook because last time it was a bunch of questions people put on there as well. So basically last time I touched briefly on I touched on a lot of different subjects last time actually. I talked about a little bit about where disease forms at and the types of foods that we eat that actually help or encourage disease to build up in our body. So I felt it was necessary maybe to talk more about the quality of the foods that are available to us and our responsibility to our bodies to make sure that we are being conscious of the things that we're ingesting. So I'm here. So the first thing I want to talk about, not so much even, let's just start talking about different things from a different angle. I'm not even gonna touch on the meat right now because we all know that meat in itself in this country, the quality of the meat has been compromised to a point where it is putting a large amount of toxicity in our body. But let's talk about some other things. Let's talk about what's in the snack foods that you guys stop at these rest stops and at these gas stations and eating. What is in the snack foods that are actually making making you guys have sickness and disease in your body or toxicity? For the most part, I know truck drivers historically have been known for being bad eating habit people. They tend to eat whatever they can get on the road. And so a lot of times they've been at the mercy of stopping at convenience stores and different things of that nature to eat. But the food, unfortunately, is prepackaged, so it doesn't have the nutritional value that is needed for your body to actually perform the way it should be. So what are some of the things that you guys are eating at the convenience store? Because I want a little bit of interaction. What is some things that you guys are eating at the convenience stores or at the rest stops that are quick and easy?
Potato chips, oodles and noodles, canned sardines, favorite. And don't forget the old fountain soda.
All right, so we will start with the potato chips because that in itself, I'm going to break down to you why it is not good for you to be eating potato chips. Let's just start with the potato itself. The potato itself is what they call an unnatural starch. So potatoes are one thing that the scientists have manipulated and spliced DNA over the years and have hybridized. They have basically changed the whole chemical structure of a potato. So the potatoes that are readily available to us in the United States, when we eat them, our body breaks down that potato. That potato actually breaks down into what we call a carbonic acid, which actually is a poison in our body. The potato in itself, before we even go any further, is very toxic to our body. So we definitely want to look at what happens when a manufacturing company gets this toxic product that is already kind of unsafe for us to be eating on a continuous basis, and then they fry it in animal byproducts. A lot of times they use animal oils, lard, canola oils, and vegetable oils that are not safe anyway for consumption on a daily basis. And then there are chemicals that they add to it. So we're going to look at that. What are they actually putting in our potatoes? Because if you notice that all the foods you eat that are junk foods, it seems like they're addictive. And that's because they put chemicals in them. They put chemicals in them to kind of get you to come back for more. The same way they do in cigarettes. You know, they add additives and chemicals in it to get you more hooked. So we'll look at that. There are some cancer-causing agents that they put in potatoes. Let's see here. We're going to look at Pringles. I have some information pulled up about Pringles. So let's just say in a thing of Pringles, a little canister of Pringles. So the chemical acrylamide is one of the chemicals they put continuously in Pringles. This is a cancer-causing neurotoxic chemical. It actually increases its potency of being a neurotoxin once they fry it. So they put it on top of the potato and then fry it. This is just in Pringles. Okay, so we need to think about this for a minute. I'm pulling up acrylamide on my internet because, I want to be informed. So I'm looking to see what other potato chip companies actually use acrylamide. Okay, Cape Cod potatoes use acrylamide. Kettle chips, they use that as well. So what I really like to encourage people a lot of times to do is start using the internet for what it's supposed to be for. And it's supposed to be for information. And although you have to watch your sources, of course, on the internet, but a lot of information on the internet is so useful. It's so useful. So in this whole instance, they say that the limit on acrylamide is supposed to be 0.5 parts per billion. Okay, so let's see what they're putting in the potato chips. Oh wow, they said in the potato.
Come back, Steph. You cut out. You said what they're putting in the potato chips.
I'm sorry, why do I keep cutting out? So in the potato chips, the acrylamide is the legal limit per the FDA is 0.5 parts per billion, and they're putting 910 times that into the potato chips. So as you can see, you're eating a very high level of toxicity, and this is just one chemical that they're using in the potato chips. What other things did you suggest? What other things did you say that you guys normally stop at the convenience stores to get?
Pickles.
Popcorn.
Pop, soda.
So let's look at this for a minute because we're going to talk about soda pop. That is one of the worst things that you can actually put in your body. It takes you from drinking one small thing of Coca-Cola, it takes maybe about 5 or 6 gallons to flush that out. First of all, in a regular thing of soda, you have high fructose corn syrup, which is concentrated chemicalized sugar, okay? Regular sugar by itself that you go get out the store, the cane sugar and stuff, that stuff itself breaks your kidneys down and your liver down. But when you have high fructose corn syrup, they actually concentrate it and then they add chemicals to it to enhance the flavor and make it sweeter. So we need to look at why kidney failure and liver failure in this country is so high. So one of the biggest things that we want to look at is the ingestion of high fructose corn syrup. They put it in every processed food. I really encourage you guys to start looking on the back of your labels, because on the back of your labels, you will see high fructose corn syrup in everything. They even tried to hide the names by putting sucrose and fructose and galactose, anything that ends in OSE. In a processed package of food is high fructose corn syrup. They're just trying to reword it for you guys so that you don't understand what you're eating. Okay, so the soda in itself, you have to think about this for a minute. You have not only the high fructose corn syrup, you have dyes in it. Those dyes wreak havoc on your system, in your liver and your kidneys. And if you notice in this day and age, if you go on the World Wide Web, look up the diseases that are affecting us in this country. Look at the rates of dialysis and look how high dialysis is. Dialysis is actually doubling itself every year. This is the amount of people where they just have kidney failure. How many people in here have family members that are having to go to dialysis now or have any type of diabetic issues? Their pancreas is breaking down.
My mother had kidney failure back in 2001. She's no longer here. She died of breast cancer in 2014. But yeah, And I know a buddy of mine, his wife is dealing with kidney failure.
And I had my granddaddy and a couple of my uncles. They was on dialysis, and both of them passed away as well.
Yeah, and yeah, my family as well. But even a little more closer to home is how many people in here are, fighting diabetes or kidney failure.
Most definitely. And I definitely, this is one of the things where I teach people so much. And if anyone does not have access to my YouTube videos that I put up so far, and I actually break down how the certain diseases happen on my YouTube videos. So they're very informative, and they really give you a lot of information on how the disease forms, because you have to understand how the sickness manifested in your body. But kidney disease is one of those things where you have to understand, what does the kidney do in the body? The kidney actually filters out poison from the body. That's the function of the kidney. Why is it that your kidney would fail? Because it's overloaded with poison. The poisons were hitting your kidney so hard that your kidney couldn't function the way it's supposed to anymore. That's the whole purpose of what urination is. What your kidney does is takes all the poison, crystallizes it, so it turns it into a powder, and then it gets flushed out with water to come out of your body. That's why the more water you drink, the clearer your urine becomes. The crystals that the kidney crystallizes are yellow. They're deep yellow. So when you drink more water, your urine becomes clearer. If you need more water, that's why your urine is darker and yellow. How many people on here, honestly, drink a gallon of water a day? Because that's what our bodies really need to properly function the way it should, a gallon of water a day. And when you're drinking that gallon of water a day, you don't have time to be drinking soda.
Yeah, that's true. I typically, I get a Powerade or a Gatorade before I drink the water. At one point in time in my life, I did drink a lot of water, but on the truck, it's just easier to get the Powerade.
I was gonna say, I had read too that you, because what I drink is half of my body weight worth of water. So I'm about 180 now. So I'll drink 90 ounces. I'll try to make sure. I probably get 100 ounces in a day, but that's how much I drink.
And then I can't say, because I deliver water and I get free water from where I pick up at, and I have sometimes like 16-ounce bottles up in here, maybe around about 12 or 15, and by the end of the day, almost all of them almost gone.
And as for me, I drink water, but I mix some Tang in it. Would that still be considered as water?
What did you say you mix into it?
Tang. The Tang you buy from Tang that you buy from the store.
Nope. Gotta be straight water.
I was just about to say, you making Kool-Aid, boy.
It's got vitamin C in it.
That's fortified, man. There ain't no vitamin C. That's something they made up in the lab somewhere.
Yeah, getting that ascorbic acid, and your kidneys is turning that into more crystallization.
Okay, and back to you, ma'am.
Okay. I like when people teach each other. That's awesome. But yeah, the Tang is a no-go. You need to stop playing with that, because first of all, that is artificial. First of all, you get vitamin C from plant-based sources. Your body, if there is any added vitamin C in there, it's a chemical and your body can't absorb it anyway. And second of all, that Tang has it has preservatives, it has additives, artificial dyes and colorings, and other chemicals that are just making it very hard on your kidneys and your liver and your blood and overall. So yeah, I would advise you, if you want to have flavored water, I would just advise you to either put some lime juice, some key lime juice in there. That's really good. And you can add some natural sweetener like an agave or a date syrup into there to make it sweet. Or what I do, I blend my fruits. I blend water with mangoes and some dates, and it makes a really good sweet drink, and it's natural. So it doesn't, hurt your body. It actually benefits your body a lot.
Yeah, Miss Bullock, I got my wife here, and she was just saying that ask about the lemon and the lime, but I guess you touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, so the lemons, what we found from the teachings of Dr. CB, I'm grateful for his teachings. What we found in the teachings that he had was that when they did a biochemical study on lemons and limes and things of that nature, they found out that the lemon is actually a hybrid of the lime, and that lemons do not offer the nutritional value that limes do. And for instance, the highest value is key limes, those little tiny key limes. They have the highest nutritional value because they're actually the original citrus fruit that was hybridized and ended up turning into seedless limes and lemons. If you ever notice, I don't know how often you guys have this, but I bought some seedless limes because I couldn't find any key limes one time, and I let them sit and forgot about them, and they started turning yellow after a while. So I was really like floored by that, because I was like, how often are we buying these lemons and things of that nature, thinking that they actually are beneficial to our body. They're providing us vitamin C. They're providing all of this nutritional benefit, and we don't even realize that this fruit is not giving us anything. This is like eating paper. It's not giving us anything. And the reason it's not is because in vegetables and fruits that they have chemically altered and hybridized. And this is different from a natural hybridization where a plant naturally changes itself, over into something else, which can happen through natural crossbreeding. That's totally different. We're talking about in a laboratory where they are splicing the DNA of fruits and vegetables. What ends up happening is it may taste the same, but our body recognizes it as foreign, because unfortunately, people, you can't replicate something that God did. And these fruits and vegetables were created to provide a balance of nutrition. In minerals, you have to understand something. I'll use this as an example for people that are like, what are you talking about in science terms? So I'm just going to use this as an example. In the layman's terms, when you are taking an iron supplement, for instance, anytime your body ingests iron, it needs a certain amount or a certain ratio of vitamin C in order for that to happen. Well, in a normal food that is a high iron food, it has a balance of vitamin C as well. So if you ever look up high iron foods like kale or greens and things of that nature, turnip greens, for instance, they have a high level of iron, but they also have a certain ratio of vitamin C as well. But what happens when we start having scientists thinking that they're God over here playing and manipulating DNA in food? They have no idea what ratio or what percentages to make the DNA. They don't even have that technology to do that. The only thing they can do is just try to crossbreed and do things like that. They can't go down to the molecular level and say, okay, well, you have 3 parts of iron and you have 1 part of vitamin C. They can't do that. They just simply don't have the technology for that. But what ends up happening when we try to eat a food that's hybridized unnaturally, the ratios aren't correct. So what happens is our body will not even absorb the nutrients at all. It'll pass it. Everybody got that? This is why GMOs are not acceptable, because it will not give us the nutritional value we need, because our bodies recognize that as a foreign or a fraud, a fake thing, and it won't absorb the nutrition.
Okay, I also heard that broccoli was genetically modified. Is that true?
That is true. I was doing a little research on this because I was really curious, because I used to be such a huge broccoli lover, but I didn't realize until I was looking it up that broccoli is actually hybridized from the original cauliflower. They did some splicing and different things of that nature, and ended up coming up with broccoli. I don't even know the full extent of what they did to get the broccoli to change into its nature, because it is quite different from cauliflower. But if you go into the stores now, they're doing all kind of different hybridization with broccoli now. They have all kind of different things. They got orange broccoli, and I mean, it's just weird. And I'm like, I don't understand why why do you want to play with food like this? This is weird to me. You know, I went in the store the other day and I saw orange broccoli. And it was like, what is this?
Okay, I don't mean to get off of the vegetables, but like I said, when you was talking about the water, I typically like to get the Powerades and Gatorades. Do you have any information on those?
So you have to be very careful with Gatorade and Powerade, okay? First of all, they claim that you're ingesting this product to balance your electrolytes and different things of that nature. They add salt and sugar into the Gatorades and Powerades. Those aren't natural sources of salt and sugar. So anytime you are ingesting unnatural sources of salt and sugar, it's never going to have a good outcome. Gatorade and Powerade are just like anything else that is unnatural. You start consuming it too much, it builds up toxicity in your body, and then it creates problems. You know, every now and again type thing, okay, that's fine, because your body can deal with it every now and again on something that's not appropriate. But when you start drinking those every time you out in the truck, you start creating problems for yourself. I would really advise you know, you guys on the truck or what have you, maybe you can get a little single hill blender to take with you to start to make some little smoothies, or make your own Powerades and Gatorades. And I can actually put on the Sovereign Rose website, I actually have a recipe for your own Gatorades and Powerades without all of those chemicals in it, without all the additives and stuff, and it'll give you the electrolyte balance you need.
Okay, that'll work. I'm Corey Mercer. I actually haven't responded back to your email though, but I guess I'll respond to the email and see if we can add that to the package, the colon cleanse.
Okay, that's fine. So just to piggyback on, I know we get railroaded real easy, but I like the exchange, because I want to be able to, you know, go veer wherever you guys have questions. But I just wanted to touch back on the whole thing with the kidney failure. So I have some little statistics. I love statistics, and I was reading them, and it's like, wow. I wanted to read you guys what I was reading here. So we have approximately, and it changes every day, of course, but about 670,000 people in kidney failure right now. About 500,000 of them are on dialysis. And the numbers are startling when I was looking at the variant rates in races in this country. It was it's very sad, but it is unfortunately true. When we look at the different diets throughout the different ethnicities, unfortunately, there are some ethnicities that have a more common poor diet, and you know, they tend to have greater health issues. But we look at that, and they said that Caucasians, of course, have the lowest rate of kidney failure in this nation, but then we have African Americans who have 3.7 times the amount of kidney failure as Caucasians. And then we have Native Americans who have 1.4 times greater than Caucasians, and then Asian Americans 1.5 times greater. And so we have to look at what is going on, especially in the African American communities. What are we eating that is causing our kidneys to fail? Does anyone have any ideas what they think is prevalent in the African American community that would be causing such high rates of kidney failure?
Salt.
Everything they eat, everything. You can go to any neighborhood right now and look at what somebody coming out the store with, or what they coming out the restaurant with, whether it's Murder King or McDevil's or Taco Hell, and that's the problem right there. It kibble big.
There you go, Boogie. I would say just people going and drinking excessive liquor, alcohol.
I'm glad you hit that, because alcohol consumption, if you ever notice, and this is, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but anytime you go into an area where it is majority African American, and we're talking about socioeconomic too, because it's usually the poor areas, where anytime you go into their communities, the first thing you see is a liquor store on every single corner. Alcohol is the number one thing that is shutting people's kidneys down. But right behind it, right on its tail there, is the diet of the African American community that is high in meats, high in fried foods, high in soul foods and dairies and cheeses. The diet of the African American, and I will say salt is in there. So all of you guys did touch on some things, but that are true, but the diet mixed in with the chemicals from the alcohol, because alcohol consumption in the African American community is ridiculous. But you look at, I know that it's said that alcohol consumption is really high in the Native American communities. Why do you think that even though Native Americans tend to have a greater problem with alcoholism and things of that nature, they don't have as many problems with kidney failure as African Americans do?
Processed food. Probably the access to processed food.
Precisely. The eating habits, because your body is resilient. It can replicate itself. It can heal itself if you give it time. But the problem, especially in the African American community, is the second thing that you notice is that on every corner, I know in Detroit, I'm a little ways from Detroit. If I go into Detroit, on every corner, I see a liquor store. Even the gas stations have liquor. Everybody has liquor. The convenience store has liquor. But another thing that I notice, every single where you turn in Detroit, fast food restaurants. We have what we call Coney Islands. Those are grills where they are just grilling up, whatever you order. So we have Coney Islands on every corner. We have the 7-Elevens, so you can 24 hours. Everything is 24-hour in Detroit. You can go get a burger at 3 a.m. You can go to the store and get potato chips at 3 a.m. You can go get alcohol at 3 a.m. So it's like the heavy consumption of all of this toxicity together is breaking down their bodies, because in the African American community as well is a high level of cirrhosis of the liver. It's not talked about as much, but cirrhosis of the liver is a big problem too. And these are from alcohol consumption and poor eating habits together. So what we want to look at here is why more people are not, picking up on the fact of correlating food to health issues. Have any of you had any issues? I know a lot of you in here now are making a conscious effort to eat better. How are your families responding to you not eating meat or not eating junk food or different things of that nature?
Stephanie, you already know. They've been laughing at me for years.
Well, my wife been trying to get me to eat better for the longest. We've been going back and forth about it. I let her know that it's difficult to eat good on the road. I remember last time you came in, you said it's actually pretty easy. You just have to pre-plan. But a lot of times when you're in the truck, you just need something quick, put something in your belly and keep on going.
The boy must be crazy.
You guys are cracking me up. Oh my goodness, yes. So true story. So a couple years ago, when I finally connected that food was my problem with my health, and I went ahead and I went full scale vegan. I didn't look back. I don't eat anything from an animal, and I limited my starches. So I only eat potatoes like every now and again. I learned how to find fruits and vegetables that would give me the taste of starches. And I learned about different flours that don't break down into carbonic acid. So my family thought I had went off the deep end. I mean, when you say your family laughed at you, I was so mocked. In my family, any family events I would go to, they would cook all meat dishes and I would have to sit there or just choose not to go. That's so funny that you said that. But in my family now is a different dynamic, because I stood my ground. I stood my ground with them. Every last one of them have health issues. And I have today 2 family members that finally went vegan, and I got a couple of them that are now vegetarian. So I'm infiltrating. So don't give up on your family. You stand your ground and you get healthy, you lose that weight, you start looking younger. And trust me when I say, all them people that's laughing, they're going to stop laughing.
Where you get your protein? I forgot about that one too. You need your protein. Where are you going to get it?
Right. And that's another thing. So that's crazy to me because, meat is actually not the highest supplier of protein. So I'm like, and that shows you, I say everybody wants to be a scientist. Stay in your lane is what I tell people. But hemp, hemp and chickpeas have way more protein than any meat. So I have no idea where people get this nonsense from. And then you think about it, all the animals people are eating anyway are animals that eat vegetables, and so they're getting the secondhand protein, which is the protein that the animals ate from the plants, and then what was left over in their meat you're eating. So it's ridiculous. I don't entertain people when they say that stuff. I flip the conversation now and just say, how is your health? How is your health? I just want to know where you at in your health walk, because you over here questioning what I'm doing in mine, but I'm healthy. I don't have to go to a doctor. I don't have to go to a pharmacy. My weight, I'm down 120 pounds. How is your health? Because obviously I'm doing something right and you're not.
Yeah, Steph, they done heard me make that comment in here all the time. When they ask me that, I say, well, where your protein get its protein from? The kibble bit.
Most definitely. So the whole instance with the kidneys, just to stay focused, Stephanie, the whole focus with the kidneys is that we need to look at, in our own families, in our own units, what can we do differently to heal our bodies? Because let's just be honest here, all of us have at one point or another damaged our bodies so much from all of this unclean and eating that's just inordinate eating. And we're not even going to touch on the fact that a lot of people not only eat inappropriately, but then they're gluttonous. They eat continuously for emotional binge eating and entertainment. I know a lot of people that eat for entertainment and things of that nature. So we want to look at how do we heal our bodies? What do we need to do to get our bodies back to where it's supposed to be functioning? Because ideally, your body, number one, you should have so much energy eating the foods that you eat. You should not be falling asleep after meals. They call that the itis. If your food is actually giving you nutritional balance, you should have more energy after you eat, not falling asleep. Okay, number one. Number two, we want to look at how are your body functions? How are you eliminating waste from your body? Because in a person that is truly healthy, their elimination system is on point. They are urinating a lot. They are having multiple bowel movements a day. And the more bowel movements you have, the healthier you are, because your body is eliminating waste. I've had people tell me they only have a bowel movement once a week or once every 2 weeks. And I'm like, how are you functioning? I know you're bloated. You don't feel good. You feel weighed down and heavy. So it's crazy. But yeah, we need to look at, how do you get to the place of health? Okay. So the first thing you have to do is start with your digestive system. Okay, all the diseases, sickness, and whatever, of course, starts in your digestive system. So that's where you need to start at when you are trying to work towards a healthy goal. You have to get yourself into a position where your digestive system is functioning the way it's supposed to. Most people don't know this, but I teach this in my group, that your body, when you break down and you eat a food, you breaking it down, your body only breaks down a certain portion of the food because of our poor diets. Ideally, if you're eating from a vegan standpoint, and I'm going to say plant-based, because I've seen some vegans that eat horrible, and they're putting more toxicity in their body than meat eaters. So when you're plant-based eating, your body is able to break down everything and push it along, and you are able to have your system functioning properly. But let's just say, for the sake of the discussion, we have a person that eats just a variety of stuff: meats, pasta, starches, everything. Your body is only able to break down so much at a time. So you kind of have a backlog of things in your stomach, in your small intestine, in your large intestine, that are only partially digested. You have a lot of issues going on there. And even if you are a person that is saying, I'm not going to give up meat, you have to give your body a resting period. You need to at least pick one of those 12 months where you do colon cleansings, where you do water fasting, and where you only eat raw fruits and vegetables. You have to give your body a rest, because what ends up happening if you don't clean out that digestive system, that's where that good old-fashioned colon cancer is going to come from. And colon cancer is almost always a precursor to spreading the cancer in other places in your body.
Well, pleasant good evening, Miss Suzanne. This is Lucky checking back, and I've been listening to you ever since the last conversation we had. I cut out fish. You know, I was a big seafood eater, and I can say that I see a big difference in that, you know. And I've been juicing every day. I juice mostly all day. I went straight juicing, and my veggies, and I mostly juice for the morning. Raw beets and carrots with a little cucumber, spinach, and berries, and that's what I've been doing, and I see the difference from eating the fish.
Yes, and that's good. And I'm glad you brought that up. Real quick, I'm going to touch on that because people think that they're being so healthy by being pescatarian or eating only seafood, and you are eating the concentrated waste that is in the waters. And you have to remember that the water is the easiest place for these greedy companies to dump their chemicals at, and nobody ever knows anything about it because the FDA, the EPA, they're a joke. They don't get on these companies about illegal toxic dumping. So they end up dumping it into the water, and then you wonder why when you go fishing, you pull out a fish with 3 eyes and strange stuff like that. And you have to think about it. People really believe that they're eating healthy by eating fish when you're eating all those chemical toxic waste dumps that's been put in the water. So I know you're feeling better because your body is finally like, oh, I'm so glad you stopped putting mercury and all kind of other stuff in me. So yeah, I would suggest you, if you have not already, to do a heavy metal detox. Get some type of heavy metal detox to get all of that mercury and that aluminum and fluoride out of your body that you've been ingesting from eating that seafood.
Yes, I'm actually on a 30-day cleanse as we talk. It's not nothing to play with, trust me.
Yeah, most definitely. It is not. Cleanses are rough, but you know what? They are so worth it. So yeah, I definitely agree with you. I just came off of a little water fast myself because I do a water fast every other week. Because I'm going to another level. I just made a decision. I'm going to another level in my health, so I went ahead and started doing that. But anyway, so the cleaning out your digestive system, the water fasting, and this is what I've been starting my clients to do because I found it so beneficial to do a little water fast, maybe a 2 or 3, even a 4-day water fast where all you're doing is drinking water, just nothing else. Just drink straight water for 4 days. It flushes out your kidneys, it flushes out your urinary system, and then after the 4 days, do a colon cleansing. And people are like, why do you do that? Because what I found in water fasting is that when you just do a water fast for about 3 or 4 days, your lining of your intestines starts to replicate itself. So it dislodges all of the caked up mucoid and undigested food that has gotten attached to the walls of your intestine. And in the fast as well, any byproducts that have been left in your stomach, it actually is burned up for fuel. Your body, since it's hungry and you're not giving it any food, your body goes back and finds the leftover remnants that it never digested, and it starts digesting all of that stuff. So by the time the 4th day hits and you're done with this water fast, you start your colon cleansing, everything comes out. You don't have to go through the whole process. I've seen some people talking about they trying to drop a mucoid plaque and they taking 30 days worth of colon cleansing and all that. You don't have to do all that because now you've gotten that stuff dislodged. Your stomach has broke down and burned everything that was in it. And now you're going to do a colon cleanse. It's all coming out. It's going to all come out. And then you're going to feel like 20 times better. You're like, wow, I feel lighter. This colon cleanse was amazing, but it was because you did the water fast first and you got that stuff dislodged so it can come out easier.
I got one more thing I'm going to put on the table. A lot of people even ask me this, like, how is it gonna be easier to eat out here on the road? What I do is I find vegan. I Google vegan restaurants. Like you said, that internet is powerful. All you got to do is Google. You go to your maps, and you Google vegan restaurants in your area, and all you need to know pops up. And if you're not sure, you just call the number and you ask them.
I would say too is a little easier than that because every place you go to, there's some type of, because vegan just means no animals. So there's some kind of option that they would have. I mean, you got to be careful because even the red beans and rice at Popeyes is straight mess, straight garbage. But yeah, you got to. I don't want nobody to forget that even if you went to Taco Hell, there's a vegan option there that you could kind of get. If you was trying to stray away from meats. I was going to ask Steph too. What would you say? Because I get hit with the meat is for everybody, and the scientists said this and that. And if I was sitting in front of my computer, I could rebut a lot of that. But what would you say to the naysayers that will, say, man, humans been eating meat for thousands of years and blah blah blah, and
Okay, so I love the fact that I am a scientist because people don't usually try me that know me because they know that they are not going to be on my level scientifically. But what I would say to someone that tried to come for me in that way is I say, if we've been eating meat for thousands of years, why are our teeth the same as the herbivore animals and not the carnivore animals? Why is our intestine the same as the herbivore animals and not the carnivore animals? Why is the lion that eats meat, their intestine is 5 times smaller so the meat can hurry up and go through their system? But ours is coiled into a very long coil that stretches out very far in our bodies. Is really interesting. And then the final question is, why is it that after you eat a nice juicy steak, when it does finally come out, it looks like chewed up steak still coming out? That's really interesting because when I eat a piece of vegetable, it doesn't come out looking the same way as it went in.
Well, a lot of them would say, we got K9s. I heard that before too. And and I get it. Me, I get it. But I'm just saying, like, they say we've been eating it for years, and our digestive systems can take it, and which like you say, your intestines is about 30 feet long or something like that. That's a long way. All that meat got to come through the body, whereas that lion, that tiger, that cheetah, is very short. It's in and out.
Yeah, but when you eat corn almost come out the same way as you take it in.
Yeah, corn's hybridized. It's not it's Frankenstein food. That's really not a good example. But Miss Stephanie, if you could, I was watching some of those videos overnight the other night, and I think what was real interesting was the video that you did on the toxic metals and the fluorides and how that affects your moods and etc. How we find it in high lead levels in certain urban areas.
Yes, this is a very, very interesting field that is really not known. Heavy metals, to start there, heavy metals, when they get into the body, there are certain metals that are okay in our body and they're natural. But when we're talking about heavy metals, we're talking about mercury, we're talking about aluminum, we're talking about fluoride, lead. These things are not natural to our bodies. So what happens in our bodies when we get them? We have a host of disorders. We have Alzheimer's, we have dementia, we have ADD, ADHD, we have bipolarism, schizophrenia, we have all kind of things. We have fits of anger, rage, people with anger problems, the list goes on. We even have lupus, we have MS. It goes in different directions in the body, but it's very interesting because what I teach people on is about what fluoride is and why fluoride needs to be avoided at all costs in the body, because It has been a big propaganda for, years, even before I was born, that fluoride was this amazing chemical to help the tooth decay and things of that nature. Well, I'm gonna just say this first before I go into the whole chemical of fluoride. If fluoride was that amazing, then there wouldn't be no tooth decay or no need for dentists, first of all. And there's a dentist on every corner that I see. So tooth decay is probably worse today than it was before they implemented fluoride into the drinking waters. So they put fluoride in the drinking waters. Fluoride is in your toothpaste, and fluoride is in quite a few different things. And what fluoride is called a chemical binder. What is a chemical binder? Fluoride attaches itself to other chemicals. Your brain is set up so amazing that if you were to get aluminum or lead into your body, it could not get into your brain because there is a membrane that is on the outside of your brain that blocks chemicals from getting into it. But good old fluoride can get through that membrane. So what happens in the cases of lead in the water? They put lead in the water. Lead causes aggressions and homicidal and suicidal tendencies. That's why if you notice in any of these poorer areas where they have high homicide rates, those are also the places where they have the highest levels of lead in the water. Those aluminum and lead, especially aluminum and lead, what they do is they bind to fluoride. And fluoride pulls the lead or the aluminum across the membrane so it can get into the brain. This is it's tragic. It's tragic. But when you start seeing these things, you start understanding that there is a systemic, intentional poisoning of certain demographics. What is the motivation behind it? I can't speak on. I don't know. But there is definitely an intentional poisoning. And I know for a fact that the powers that be that are putting these chemicals in the water know exactly what they're going to do in the communities. And the aluminum itself, you're exposed to on a daily basis from things such as your deodorant. In a lot of commercial skin products, they have aluminum in some form or another. I wouldn't wear. I know people are saying, well, you can stay away from aluminum foil. Aluminum foil is not our problem. Deodorant is our biggest problem. People put that deodorant on trying to stop the smell, but they need to understand something. That smell is there because of the foods they're eating. I went full vegan and I stopped eating processed starches in 2015, and I haven't used deodorant since.
Preach. They think I'm crazy when I speak of deodorant. Keep on using that degree. They wonder why you got that breast cancer. Men can get breast cancer too.
Yes, they can. And it's horrible because not only it's absorbing into your pores, and you have to understand something too with the whole thing with deodorant. That stuff is going down into your pores. It's shutting down your pores. It's clogging your pores with aluminum. So aluminum is absorbing into your body, aluminum hydroxide to be specific, and it's absorbing into your body. But what else is doing is clogging up your pores. Your pores have to release things for a reason. This is part of your immune system. You cannot stop your pores from breathing and sweating because what you're doing is you're holding in toxicity into your body. So it would be more conducive for you if you are a person that has odor problems to start looking at what you're eating that is causing your body to have these odor issues, because you stopping the natural process of your body eliminating waste through your armpits. All it's doing is creating breast cancer, because right up under your armpits are lymph nodes. And if your lymph nodes can't push the toxicity into the pores so it can come out, then that's where you get all kinds of cancers from. And once you get cancer in your lymph nodes, it spreads really quick because your lymphs are all over your body. So 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 that's how it gets into your brain. And then once it gets in your brain and accumulates enough of it, then that's when it starts to tear your brain down from Alzheimer's. And that's why you see Alzheimer's normally in older people, because it took that long for their aluminum levels to accumulate to the point where is deteriorating the brain. But one thing you notice in Alzheimer's now is it's getting younger and younger, because the exposure to the chemicals is getting greater. People in their 90s and 100s are getting Alzheimer's, older in age, because they weren't exposed to all of that stuff when they were younger. They were only exposed to it as they were getting older, so it took a longer time to start working on them. But we have children with ADD and ADHD, and the numbers on that is skyrocketing. And a lot of that has to do with mercury and aluminum, because mercury is in the vaccines that they're being injected with, and then the aluminum they're being exposed to from all other sources.
But they call me crazy for saying that, because the vaccines are supposed to help society stay virus and disease free.
You can stay virus and disease free by having your immune system functioning the way it's supposed to, and by washing your hands. So if you remember over in Europe when they had that bubonic plague or whatever, well, I think it was a bubonic plague or whatever it wasn't no vaccines over there that solved that problem. It was teaching them how to use soap.
Tenfold. My baby boy ain't had none of them things.
No, I earlier, before I learned about vaccines, I was getting my kids injected, but I went on ahead, got them some nice old heavy metal detoxes and got all that stuff out of their system. And I don't do anymore. I don't do anymore. And, I love when the pro-vaxxers want to jump on the bandwagon talking about, well, your kid, because it's not vaccinated, will hurt my kid. But my question is, if you get vaccinated and you supposedly are safe from the disease, why is my child going to hurt your child?
If anything, you would think it would be the other way around. It's just nonsense, man, that like you call it, the powers that be are put out. And with all the metals, the heavy metal, everything you're talking about, you wonder how people are allowing this stuff to happen. Or like I just told my girl, when you say certain things and everybody laugh at it, it's like if this was like 100 years ago and somebody, said something like, hey, man, we should check on this, people would go and investigate, and then they'll laugh at you once they figure it out. But they just won't take, something that CNN said or any of those outlets and just run with it and just laugh at you and call you a conspiracy theorist, But I think that has a direct link to all the heavy metals and the chemicals that people are ingesting.
Most definitely. Most definitely. So just one more thing I wanted to touch on. I see we're wrapping up on time here. So one thing I wanted to touch on too was somebody had said something about popcorn going to the convenience stores too. So I wanted to just touch on what is in popcorn, because if you are at home with an air popper popping some organic popcorn, that's a lot safer. But when you're buying pre-made, pre-packaged popcorn, you have to look at what they put in that as well. So there is a couple of things that chemicals that they put in there. Number one, they put a coating inside the popcorn bag to keep it fresh. This is a carcinogen, of course. They call it PFOA. And what it does is it protects the popcorn and make it seem fresh. Because if anybody has popped any popcorn at home and left it out for a day, when you come back, it's stale. So this is the way that they keep the popcorn fresh, so that when you open the bag, that it is amazing. And it is a high carcinogen. The second thing that they put in all processed popcorn to have it get that buttery, popcorny taste is called diacetyl. And this chemical is a neurotoxin. If you get too much exposure to this chemical, it will start breaking down your spinal cord. And this is they have linked diacetyl to a number of nerve conduction issues and nerve problems. I know doctors always say that they don't know what the cause of sciatica is, which is just basically you have a nerve problem and it usually radiates, and it usually is in your back and it goes down your legs type things. But all of these unknown nerve problems are coming from food. And your nervous system is being compromised. It's being broken down by these chemicals, and diacetyl is one of them. And the unfortunate thing, even in microwave popcorn, they even have a warning now, because when you open a bag of microwave popcorn and you inhale it, it damages your lungs from the smoke from the diacetyl. They call it popcorn worker's lung, and this happens when you inhale it. So I'm thinking to myself, if I open a bag of something I'm eating, and if I inhale the smoke, it's going to damage my lungs. Why would I eat it? Because something is really off with this food. So popcorn is no more safer than anything else. I really implore you guys to start pre-planning your meals. You can have a nice little air popper at home. You can pop your popcorn. You can put it in little Ziploc bags. And so you'll have it on the road with you. And the air popper is way cheaper anyway. You can pop a bunch of popcorn and take it with you on the road. That could be your snack. Another thing I found is if you get a dehydrator, you can, when you're at home, or if you have a spouse that can do this for you, you can cut up and make apple chips. I love them. You put a little cinnamon and a little sweetener on the apple chips and then dehydrate them. They are so good. They're so good. If you want the taste of maybe a potato chip, butternut squash, you can do that. If you slice it really thin, you can maybe put it in the oven and it'll get that crunchy taste that you're looking for in the potato chip. And then you can add your sea salt on there. But the whole point of our talk today is just so you can understand that all of this processed food that you're grabbing on the road is hindering you, and it's really harming you in your whole goal of getting healthy. And as Brother Ron was talking about, that there are some people in here that have diabetic and kidney issues. They can be reversed, and I have helped people to reverse those issues. But you're not going to reverse those issues. It's not a snap my finger and then you're healed type thing. This is about you really changing your whole lifestyle. But if anybody wants to talk with me and seriously have a consultation and go forward with getting your body healed, you definitely can reach out to me. I'm in the Sovereign Roads. I'm in your Facebook group, or you can go on my page, which is reflectionshealing.com. There's many ways you can contact me. You can inbox me because I'm on there anyway, so you can just inbox me if you want to do it that way. But there's countless ways we can do this. But yes, kidney failure. Even I had a client recently, about three months ago. She was in stage 5 renal failure. And I started working with her, and they have broke her down. Her kidneys are back functioning because she has stopped urinating. Her kidneys are back functioning. She's going to the bathroom, and she's getting better every day. I mean, she was to the point where she had a lot of issues. She had gangrene in her toe. They wanted to cut her toe off. She wouldn't let them cut it off. Her toe is healing, but she had to listen because me and her had to come to an understanding about her eating habits. I have herbs that can help, but the herbs are ineffective if you're not going to change your diet and your mentality.
Yeah, I tell people you can't, say you want to take this ginger tea today or these garlics today, and then you're going to go stick something in your body tomorrow that goes totally against it. So, yeah, that's a good point you made about the herbs, taking them herbs, because we live in a society that says pop this pill, and when you start trying to get into herbs, you viewing it in the same sense as as popping a pill and it doing something magically for you. But with them herbs, man, it's a holistic thing. So you got to go, you got to get it all right.
Exactly. And your body healing itself from the damage that you've done. You think about this. It took you 20, 30, 40 years to damage your body to the point where it's breaking down. You really think it's going to happen overnight? No, it's not going to take 20 years to reverse the issues, but it is going to take some time. It's going to take some patience, and it's going to take you retraining your brain on how to even think about food, learning your triggers, learning what makes you eat the stuff that you have no business eating. What are you doing? What are you doing different? What are you doing that you need to be doing differently? How do you overcome your own laziness? Because a lot of people that frequent fast food restaurants on a large scale is because they're lazy. They don't want to fix their own food. And so, this is about you retraining your whole way of thinking and acting. And that's a very hard thing for people. So, anybody have any questions about anything I talked about?
And thank you so much for one being here. Thank you again too for expounding on the metals situation in the food. I think that should put in perspective in some of the neighborhoods we live in, or we live close to, or some of the neighborhoods that we refuse to live in. When we get back to the metal levels in the water and the fluoride, etc. What is the chemical called in pork that is really bad for us, that when we congest or ingest the pork, digest or attempt to digest the pork, and what does that do to us?
Your phone kind of cut out, or in the middle of you said, what is the chemical and what? I didn't catch what you were saying. What you said, what is the chemical and what?
I think he said soy.
No, he said pork, and pork, that when you try to digest it, pork.
Okay. Oh boy, the pork in itself. Okay. Pork is one of the most unclean animals you can ever ingest. First of all, we need to look at the nature of the pig. Okay. What is the pig's habitat? What does the pig eat? How does the pig operate? The pig itself is a scavenger. You throw anything in a pig, you can throw a dead body in a pig pen and they're gonna eat it. A pig is a scavenger. We should never consume scavenger animals. That's why eating shrimp or catfish, or all of these bottom of the sea scavengers, that's why we shouldn't eat them. Anytime you eat a scavenger eats anything. So a scavenger has a high level of worms. A scavenger has a high level of chemicals in it because it eats anything. And when we're ingesting that type of stuff, we're ingesting everything that is eaten. I think he was asking me more about how I don't know if you were asking me more about how they process the meat after they kill the pigs, but even before they kill the pigs, they really have to do a number. They do a number on the pig. I know my ex-husband used to talk about when they had the farm when he was growing up, that if they were to kill a pig, they would have to feed the pig lye, because they're trying to deworm the pig as much as possible before they kill it. And if you notice, the old tradition in the South, when they made a ham, they pushed clove down into the ham, and that was to kill parasites in the ham. Pigs are riddled with parasites, and there's really no way to get them all out. I mean, you could try all day to get a parasite out of a pig, but they really are very unclean animals. But even when they're killed, they tend to be the animal industry, the animal slaughtering industry. What they do is they have to put chemicals on these animals in order to preserve the meat, because it starts to decompose immediately. So what happens is they put all kind of chemicals, formaldehyde, ammonium hydroxide, and different things of that on the pig in order to preserve the meat.
Ugh. Just that alone, just knowing how they pump it with the the red meat, with the stuff to keep it red. What is it? The carbon monoxide or something like that, and then like you say, the formaldehyde. I mean, just that alone, like, you got to know that you eating that too. I don't know what it is. I think it's something in the human brain that believes, because it's sold in the store, and the government ain't said nothing against it, that this stuff is safe. But just that alone, like I say, get your own pig and then know how you killed it and all that stuff and what you gave it and all that. If you want to eat it, get your own pig. But just that alone, you can imagine what they're doing within factory farming, because we only got the piece that actually came out. But just imagine what's really going on. You triple bet.
Well, you know what it is, really. And again, we thank you so much for being here. The fact is that we got to get through what we've been taught by our ancestors. See, the problem is that we sit back and we eat the things that we see that we've had when we were little. And we come up growing eating those things. It's been what, maybe about 2 years since I sit down with a good rack of ribs, and I used to eat them by the rack. I didn't eat them by no one or two pieces. Uh, but yeah, that's what the problem is.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm in a bad area. Yeah, now I was. Well, again, thanking you for being here and thanking you for covering the metals. Um, there's a chemical in pork. You covered the process, what the pig goes through before it gets to the table. But there's also a chemical, and I think it starts with a C, that comes in pork that is really, really toxic to our bodies. To when we try to eat it. Um, are you familiar with that?
I'm sorry, your phone was really low. I didn't really hear what you just said. Could you repeat what you said?
I'll try to send it to you in a text.
Okay. Yeah, so you have to think about this. I totally agree with what you're saying about how our ancestors were subjected to eating certain things and it passed down from generation to generation. But it's like really crazy that we still are a lot of times in our community still in that whole we still in the slave mind eating pig intestines and hog maws and different things of that nature. Is really inordinate. Why would somebody want to eat an intestine of an animal? That is just gross to me. I just don't understand it, and I've always, even as a child, rejected that when my southern family used to make chitlins and hog maws and things, different things of that nature. I didn't understand why in the world would somebody want to eat this. So I used to get, talked about back then. They always say, "Oh, you just was always a picky eater anyway, so it was natural for you to go vegan." But it was just always a disgusting concept.
Yeah, but it was just a point that we had. It's not, and I think you might have misunderstood what I'm saying. It's the point that we grow up with it. It tastes good. We get older. It still tastes good. You see what I'm saying? It's like collard greens. Collard greens still collard greens to me. You know, um, that's all I'm saying. Not the point that we think about what it is.
Man, that crap stink and is nasty, Big C. If you really, really, if you when you back away from it, get off that addiction, man, it really stinks, man. It really stinks.
That's why we got all the best football players.
I mean, so and I don't have an addiction. You know, I don't. My addiction, I think more to me is more with water and so forth. But it neither here or there. Uh, we're just saying the fact that when our parents had it, a lot of us ate it. Maybe not you, maybe not Miss Bullock, Miss Stephanie, but a lot of us ate it, and we ate it like hog head cheese. I used to like hog head cheese, probably up until about probably 5 or 6 years ago. I just gave it up. You know, you have an addiction, you can't give stuff up. When you choose to, you just walk away from it.
Yeah, that's understand. I mean, I understand. Some people love that type of stuff. My ex-husband used to eat hog head cheese all the time. It used to gross me out. But I mean, I understand that. But then, in this day and age too, in the age of information and knowledge, we have to get to a point where we're really questioning ourselves. Like, are we really, really being blissful in ignorance at this point, or do we really want to learn the things that we need to learn to get, to advance and to grow out of this whole stigma we're in? Not only, I mean, I only gave one statistic about kidney failure, but African Americans themselves, they are actually number one in all of the chronic conditions. I mean, heart disease, diabetes, strokes. And we have to look at that as to what's going on in our community where we really need to get this together.
I know you probably heard of this too, but more and more I've heard about how, the reason why it's prevalent in the African American community is due to the vitamin D deficiency that we have. Especially the ones that live up in the north. It's about that time of year now where you're getting cold and you got to put coats on, so you're getting absolutely no sun exposure. If you're in New York or Chicago, where the big buildings are, you're getting no sun exposure. Not only that, you go into an office building for 8, 9 hours a day. You may come out for, a half an hour to an hour for lunch. Other than that, 5 o'clock, it gets dark. You jump into your car, you go into the house, and you have absolutely no sun exposure when it's already hard for us to absorb the sun because of our skin. So I wanted to know if you had I'm almost sure you're aware of that.
Yeah, that's a good point, Boogie. And I know in northeastern Ohio, in this part of the country, I think we have not the lowest, but we probably have one of the lowest exposure to the sun, period. We don't get that much sun in our part of the country. So, yeah, we do suffer from that. As a matter of fact, I had a holistic doctor. He said I need to add, I think it was vitamin D, to my regular routine because of that. And the other thing, real quick, I was going to say, I thought if you just put hot sauce on all that stuff, it'd make it better. Chitlins, and ribs, barbecue sauce on it, but I guess not. Um, but Stephanie, what you're saying makes sense. And I don't want to change from any where you're headed and where you're at now. But I've listened to these brothers out here, and I do want to eat better. The road is tough on me. I'm thinking about after Christmas, if I don't get one for a gift, buying a blender. And I heard the brothers out here last week, a week before last, talking about a Ninja. Can you give me some advice on smoothies? I did a little research, went on YouTube, did a little reading, and they say you can overdo it on smoothies. I guess if it's too much sugar. Can you advise me on how to start out? Is it good? First, is it good? If so, how should I go forth with smoothies? Maybe, and I like to carry maybe a bottle or two with me on the road. I get home every other day.
Okay, great question. I want to address the first question first. About vitamin D. This is going to blow your mind. First of all, there is no vitamin D in the sun. Okay, so we don't get our vitamin D from the sun. Where do we get our vitamin D from? Believe it or not, your kidneys produce vitamin D. A lot of problems in people of melanated colors. That reason why they have such low instances of vitamin D is because a lot of people are walking around here with suppressed kidney function, and they don't know it because in the doctor's offices, when you go to the doctor's office, and if by chance you get an actual half decent doctor that's actually going to even check to see if you have proper kidney function, they don't start concerning themselves until your urine levels get to a certain point. So they have what they call a range. So they're not going to tell you when your kidneys first start being in distress. There's a lot of people that are young, they're teenagers or in their 20s and are already starting to show signs of kidney distress. And the first thing that shows signs of kidney issues or kidney distress or kidney low functioning is your vitamin D levels. And there are some other levels, I can post them if you guys want, that will start to appear to show that you're in the beginning stages of your kidneys starting to have a crisis. So what do I do with people with low vitamin D? I do like everybody else that comes to me. I clean them out. I start detoxing them, getting their diet in order. I put them on herbs that are good for cleaning out the kidneys and start making the kidneys function at their 100% capacity. And their vitamin D levels always go back up. So just so you know, vitamin D is something that the body produces, just like vitamin K. Vitamin K is actually produced in your large intestine. After the food is broken down, all the nutrition is taken out of it in your small intestine. Then they push the food into your large intestine, and then your large intestine actually produces vitamin K in a chemical reaction from the food, and then they push it into your bloodstream, and then they take anything else out of the food that is beneficial, takes the water out of the food, and then pushes the waste out of your body. So everything that your body needs, it produces or it extracts from plants. This whole mythology that we need the sun in order to have vitamin D, I think the sun in itself provides us with so much benefit as far as producing the chemicals in our brain, because when you in the sunlight, you're happier. It's like you have peace when you're out in the nature, when you're out in the elements and it's a beautiful day outside. And that type of stuff produces chemicals in your body and has your body to respond. So there are some chemical reactions that take place from you being in the sun, but just being in the sun itself does not give you vitamin D, because there's no vitamin D in the sun to give you.
One question. I put it on the glass. I don't know if you know how to go treat the prescription of vitamin D that I had my doctor fulfill for me.
I think Juan fell off. He lost the signal. Yeah, Stephanie, that's what I was going to say. I mean, a lot of people think like literally like it comes from the sun, but the sun actually produces, processes in the body that, will promote those things like the vitamin D. Because I've always heard you get all your your vitamins from the sun, and that literally, like I say, like it's coming from the sun, but the sun helps the body produce all of that stuff when you come into exposure to it. So, you kind of like said that towards the end.
Exactly. But the whole premise of the sun by itself, I hear people say it all the time when people say they got low vitamin D. Oh, go out in the sun. You go out in the sun all you want to if you have low vitamin D, but that doesn't guarantee it's going to change things, because if your kidneys are not functioning the way they should, because your kidneys is where the vitamin D is produced at. So if your kidneys are not functioning the way they should be, you can go out in the sun all you want. Those vitamin D levels are not coming up. So it is a combination of a chemical reaction from the sun, from your body getting the radiation, the gamma rays or whatever have you from the sun, and it starting a catalyst in your body. But it all starts in the kidneys. And the other person that just asked me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The other person that asked me the question, can you say the question again? Because I completely forgot the question because I wanted to answer this vitamin D question.
I think he cut off, but he posted on the glass his vitamin D that the guy in the white coat must have gave him. Came from a pharmacy. I'll let you take that right there.
Okay, any vitamins, any minerals that come from a pharmacy, your body is not going to absorb. That's why when you go to the doctor and they tell you have anemia and they put you on iron pills, that's why when you come back to the doctor 3 months later, you still have anemia. Your body cannot absorb that stuff. They only can process and sell things that they get from the earth, from rocks. They have no authority or patent to bottle up and sell plant-based nutrition. They can't do it because unfortunately in the plants, they found that you cannot isolate the nutrition from the plant. So what they do is they mimic it or try to extract it from rocks and then put it in a bottle and sell it to you. But what happens is your body, you don't eat rocks. That's not where we get our nutrition from. So your body ends up trying to process it, recognizes it's fake, kicks it out in your feces. That's why when you take iron pills, your feces turns black. That's all the iron in there. You're excreting that iron right out. And vitamin D is the same way. You could take vitamin D in capsule form all day long. You are still gonna have vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency. So it's not gonna change anything. Like I said, I am a pro cleaning your body out and eating plant-based in order to get any situation reversed, because there's nothing that your body cannot replicate itself from.
Do you sell maca? Do you sell it? I looked on your website.
Yeah, he must be in a bad area.
You said, did he say maca?
Yes, maca. I was saying, do you sell it?
No. Maca is one of those hybrid herbs that they sensationalize and tell everybody is so wonderful. I don't deal with those type of herbs. I only deal with herbs that are actually 100% nutritionally beneficial for the body and has no side effects. That's why I do not carry moringa. I do not endorse turmeric. These herbs, black seed oil, all of that stuff has negative side effects to it. They don't completely help the body. Just like when you take a medication, it may have an awesome benefit, but it has a negative side effect over here where it's doing something negative to your body as well as positive. So I don't carry herbs that have negative side effects, basically. So no, I don't carry maca.
I hope y'all are hearing what she's saying. I don't know who's all in the room, but Can you imagine what it feels like to be somebody like myself and hear her talk about maca or moringa or black seed oil? And when you think you done came a long, long way, see, that's the same way I know everybody feels when I talk about that meat. Like, well, what am I gonna eat? You know, it's a long road, man. A lot of research.
Well, I know you digging that, but I like me. There are some things that I'm going to change about me, but I'm not going to. I'm one of the ones that just learned about maca, and I've been taking maca now for about a month, about a month. And the thing I like about maca, I know you said it's hybrid, which is very good for us to know. But now when I work out, I no longer deal with aminos, the 13 molecules of protein broken down. I no longer deal with those things, and my recovery time is through the roof. So the advantages, now I do want to know what the disadvantages are, because if there's a health issue, it's like creatine. When creatine hit the market, I went and looked at it and studied it, and I'm not putting that stuff in my system because, yeah, you'll get the pump that you want. I understand this. I'm 200 I'm 235 pounds. Boogie's about 100 pounds soaking wet. That's with his head leaning to the left. So, so he's a vegan. I'm not, but I have cut all red meats out of my system. Okay, I no longer drink coffee the way I used to. A lot of things that have been really benefiting me. But now my biggest thing that I do want to know, and you can hit this after you deal with that, is the plaque cleanser. I saw a video and I forgot where the video was, but the plaque cleanser for cleaning the plaque from your arteries. I think it was lemon or lime and ginger and something else. I'm trying, or cayenne, something. It was something, and I want you to go over that if you know what that is.
And could you please give what you believe the negative effects of moringa are?
I say it, make it go to that restroom and dump.
Well, you don't go to the restroom and dump, Boogie. Yes, ma'am. Miss Stephanie. Everybody else off the mic. Stephanie, go ahead, ma'am.
The best way to get rid of plaque, because plaque, first of all, let's talk about how plaque got there. Okay, the reason it got there is from animal consumption, animal meat consumption, dairy, eggs, all of that is foreign to our bodies. And this is the proof right here that we were not made to eat animal and animal byproducts because they're foreign to our body. And what happens when we consume them, our body does not know what to do with this cholesterol that comes from these animal and animal byproducts. So what ends up happening a lot of times, it gets stuck in your veins and arteries and things of that nature and start to cake and form. But one of the things that I have found to be so effective in helping people with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease, and things of that nature is called African bird pepper. It's the purest form of cayenne pepper. Very hot. But I found taking a shot of it, just mixing it with some spring water, about a teaspoon, maybe 2 teaspoons, and mix it with some spring water and drink it as a shot in the morning. That does so much for your body. It eats up cholesterol. It thins your blood out so that so it helps your circulation and it helps your heart. African bird pepper has been known to actually stop a heart attack in its tracks. People that were able to ingest African bird pepper in the instance of a heart attack, it stops it. And that's how powerful this is. There are other things there are other herbs that are thin your blood, but the bottom line is if you're not going to stop eating what's putting the plaque there, it's really ineffective because, even if you stop eating the stuff, it does take a minute for the African bird pepper and the other herbs to kick in and start getting rid of the stuff. So it's just really, it always goes back to the same thing, diet change. You have high cholesterol, you have plaque in your arteries, you need to start dialing back the food you're eating and start eating more foods that are beneficial to your body. And then you can use the African bird pepper. There are some other herbs I have, I call guaico. Guaico is really good for helping to thin the blood and get all that plaque out. And then I have a herb that is known notoriously for helping reverse heart and high blood pressure issues called hawthorn berry. So these are some of the things that work really well when you finally commit to making the diet change.
Miss Tiffany, do you mind if I ask, with all this on diet, I struggle with sleep out here. Is there something that in our diet that my bad, hold on.
And yeah, I was so you're just saying African bird pepper, and 2 tablespoons of water, spring water, would do amazing things for it. Okay. Yeah, I don't eat any of those things that causes that. I'm not an egg guy, a dairy guy. Um, I just wanted to do that because I had a cat told me that you can't do that, and so I was trying to prove that point to him. That's all.
Those two things you said that were bad. Can you give us and tell us what's bad about it? Moringa and
I said moringa and turmeric and black seed oil. These things all have negative side effects and are not beneficial in the long term. Moringa and turmeric are both hybrid herbs, they're hybrid plants. So they are not giving you the nutritional benefit that they are claiming that they have.
So the turmeric is native to India, right?
Yes, turmeric is in almost all Indian food. As far as it being a seasoning, I mean, it is what it is. You want to eat some Indian food, it got turmeric in it, big deal. It's not going to kill you to eat it. But what I'm saying, as far as people using turmeric as a herb and thinking that it's going to heal or cure things, it's just not going to happen. Turmeric is not. It's just you have to. I tell people this, and I use this as a rule of thumb. If Dr. Oz or anybody else on TV is promoting a herb, I stay away from it because because anything that is publicly being promoted is definitely not for our benefit. Because do you really think they're going to promote and tell you something that is really going to save the masses? Let's think about this, because quite frankly, sarsaparilla root reverses anemia, and it has been proven to reverse sickle cell. And I have never once heard anybody on TV ever mention this herb.
Well, I definitely agree with the whole, Dr. Oz or the doctor say something about it, you got to raise a red flag. I mean, it raises a red flag, but I thought turmeric was cool, and I thought the maca was like native to South America, and I'm just wondering, when did that whole hybrid process take place, or was that one of the natural hibernations that occurred? And I wanted to say too, because I know, when I first got on the journey, I went really hardcore, and sometimes I look back and I realize, like, hey man, if somebody's doing something a little different than what they were doing, I mean, that got to be a little better on the body. I think it's what's his name?
Okay, so we have to understand something. When we see something that is from South America or from the Caribbean and things of that nature, and say, hey, this here is, let's use maca for instance. Maca in the South America, it does this, and this. Okay, but you have to understand something. When they start advertising on television and Dr. Oz is hyping it up and producing it, they have a mass production that they do to supply us in the United States. You have to understand this. When we're ingesting stuff over here, a lot of the stuff is being grown over here. It's being, grown in hybrid plants and different things of that nature. They're growing it over here to supply our need. They're not going down into the rainforest of the Amazon area to get this stuff. They're not doing that. So I'm sure if you were in South America and you got the original plant that's growing out in the jungle, I'm sure it would have amazing benefits, but we just don't have access to that here. And even when we try to order stuff offline, we still have to look at the sources, because they lie all day and say they get this stuff from South America, and they don't. I found I had to find suppliers for my herbs that, I asked questions and I really had to research. And I found that 8 out of 10 places that are really popular in selling these herbs, they're selling hybrid and false herbs. Because in my research, when I started stocking the herbs, I started, digging deep and asking them questions. And I found out that a lot of the stuff that, is indigenous to South America and to the Caribbean, they're growing here. I don't want anything that's going to grow here because guess what? Those herbs and stuff that are indigenous to that area, they can't grow in our climate, which means you have to do something to it for it to grow here. And that means that it's hybrid because there is no way in the world that sarsaparilla root, which is only found in the Caribbean and in South America, and then they have a different type that they call sarsaparilla root in India, but it's not the same thing. But it's indigenous to that area, the hot climate. How is it going to grow? And and then I found some places talking about they grow it in Canada. How in the world are you growing sarsaparilla root in Canada when you have a winter? It's not indigenous to your area, which means it can't survive. So you had to do something to that plant in order for it to be able to survive the winter, period. Plants are very fickle. They grow in regions for a reason. And when you try to change the region without changing the nature of the plant, it will die.
Yeah, tenfold of that. I guess I got a question too. That moringa I got was the label say it was from Ghana, but like you say, you gotta, I question every damn thing, man. And one of my golden rules is, I just pay very close attention to the way something makes me feel.
Exactly. And you have to look too when they say they shipping stuff from Africa. A lot of African countries don't even have contracts to be even able to ship stuff over to us and get through customs. So you need to look at that as well. The United States has blocked out, especially like textile stuff in South Africa. It's very hard to get shipments from Africa, especially like South Africa and things of that nature. So when you start looking and they say, oh, we got this directly from Libya. How did you get it from Libya? The United States doesn't have a contract to be able to ship stuff over from Libya. So either, we have to look at the source. Basically, we have to be wise in our dealings because somebody can say, I can go pick some plants out of my yard right now. And I can tell somebody, hey, this is, grown in South America in the Brazilian forest and it's pure and sell it, as the FDA and stuff, they're not going to do anything about that. They don't get on people about false advertising and things of that nature. And then how do you know if you're not a herbalist? You don't know what the stuff looks like anyway, so you have to take their word on it and trust them. So, that's one of the biggest things in the health industry that I have a problem with. Is because we, people are so exploitive. And that's one of the reasons why I started teaching so much is so that people are more informed about what they're doing. We found that Irish sea moss, a lot of the people selling Irish sea mosses are lying. It's not really Irish sea moss because I busted a lot of people in one of the big groups that were selling Irish sea moss. Irish sea moss only grows in the cold waters. So there's no way you're getting Irish sea moss from the Caribbean. It's just not happening. That's a different type of sea moss. It's not Irish sea moss. So they're different. And then they knew that, people that are following Dr. Sebi wanted to buy Irish sea moss. So they just started telling people it was Irish sea moss. And I'm like, I don't understand how people could be so unscrupulous, but people are doing that. So you have to be very particular about where you're getting herbs from if you're going to buy herbs or anything for that matter, So, and you can always look up if somebody, like what I do when I tell you, I think you should get on this herb, you can look up the herb. You can see where it's indigenous to, where it grows at. And from there, if you're online shopping any place other than me, because I make sure that everything's on the up and up for you. But if you're online shopping somewhere else, you need to make sure that place where you're getting it from is really on the up and up.
Miss Stephanie, does that also go for the purple sea moss too that they got going on? Did you bust the people with the purple sea moss, or is that the real thing?
They swear by that that's really Conjus crispus, but I am not convinced. Conjus crispus only grows in cold water. What I'm thinking that it's a seaweed. And don't get me wrong, because what they're selling, it has nutritional value. It's amazing, but it's not Irish sea moss. It's just not. And Irish sea moss has 92 of the 102 minerals our body needs. And what they're selling, I think they're selling just regular sea moss. It does have nutritional benefit. It helps people. I don't knock people buying it, but I just want people to be more informed and stop being so led to and fro in pain. And they're paying top dollar for this because they're telling people this is Irish sea moss. This is what Dr. Sebi recommended. It's pure. It has more nutrition than regular sea moss. So they're charging top dollar, and it's not right. But like the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. If you're not being diligent about studying things, and I'm not talking about being, skeptical of everybody you meet, but I'm talking about holding their word. If they say, oh, my kids are really making a lot of noise right now. I'm sorry, my neighbor's kids just came over. So if you're not being really diligent about making sure that what they're saying is truth, then, you're going to get got.
Miss Stephanie, now, oh shoot, I done forgot now.
Did you believe in Dr. Sebi when he was alive? Did you follow his studies? And if you did, they still running his shop with Dr. Sebi, and they're saying a lot of times that what they're getting now is not real. Is that true? Yeah, you don't know nothing about that, but did you follow Dr. Sebi?
Okay, so I did study the teachings of Dr. Sebi. I did it when he was alive. And that is pure propaganda this is a family feud. And I keep telling people just to stay out their family business because what happened in that instance, I'm going to just make it real short. What happened in the instance of that video that the wife put out or what have you, there was a family fallout, and Dr. Sebi, when he was alive, kind of, because the person with the money has the power, and Dr. Sebi was the one with the money. And so I guess they weren't doing the things that he wanted them to do. So he started excommunicating people, so to speak. And his wife was one of them. They were not together when he passed. And all of his kids, except the oldest one, Sama, he left everything to her. He left the business, the Dr. Sebi sell food to her, and the Usha village. And what he did in his will, the head chemist that has been with him from day one, he had a biochemist. Dr. Sebi did not make herbal compounds as people thought he did. He was the, promoter. He was the promoter. He was the one that came up with the nutritional guide with the help of Pedro. But Pedro is the top biochemist that comes up with the chemical compounds. So what he did in his will or whatever, how he left things, he left the companies to Sama and Pedro. So Dr. Sebi Cell Food is under the direct control of Pedro. And Sama is the only person that can make decisions for Dr. Sebi Cell Food. And then Usha Village is run completely by Sama. So what ended up happening, the wife at the time decided she wanted to start her own herbal business. So she started putting out propaganda. And then the other kids wanted to start herbal businesses because their money got cut off. You have to understand something. This man was a millionaire and he had all these kids, all these people he was financially supporting, and he cut everybody off. So this was kind of like a survival of the fittest. So all of them started coming out with herb businesses, and then they started putting propaganda out. Well, Dr. Sebi Cell Food is no good, and everybody stay away from it because they've been taken over. That was pure propaganda. And now all of them have started herb business, and now they're all bickering amongst each other. So it's just basically a family feud. I tell people just stay out that mess. That's their mess. I stick with the original because Pedro is the one that came up with all of the herbal compounds there. So he is still there. He is still making the herbal compounds. And so, why try to reinvent the wheel?
Miss Stephanie, do you sell the sea moss? Because I bought mine off of Amazon at that one time.
Yes, I do. And I tell you, it's going fast. So if you want some, but because I'm not getting another shipping in probably until after Christmas, I only got a few pounds left. I get my sea moss from northern Canada in the very, very cold waters up there. So it is legit, and it is dehydrated so that it has a long shelf life. So it's easy to soak in water and reconstitute once you get it. Yes, I have a few pounds left. So if you want to get some, make sure you get it quickly as you can because it's going fast.
The purple, you have the purple or the beige?
I have beige. I have the regular. I don't get all into that purple stuff. I don't know anything about that. I think that purple is not even Irish sea moss personally, but I don't even bother with that.
All right, thank you.
So the sea moss will definitely have like the magnesium, iron, what's the other one? Iodine, and you said 92, right? 92 different minerals.
Yep, it has 92 minerals. I actually started making like hair, skin, and nail capsules, and that's one of the ingredients in it because it's so nutrient dense. Um, you can never go wrong with sea veggies, things from the sea, like Irish sea moss. The regular sea moss, which is Graciella, is really good too. Kelp, um, bladderwhack, dulse, wakame, all of these things are so rich in nutrients. So rich in nutrients. So you can never go wrong when you are eating this stuff. It's just about making sure that you're getting what you paid for, especially when it comes to Irish sea moss.
So what do you sell it? What you can sell a pound of it, or half a pound, or quarter pound, or what you got?
Okay. I carry it in I get it in bulk, obviously. So I sell it on my website, reflectionshealing.com. I sell it on there. I think I it's available in 4, 8, and 4, 4, 6, and 8 ounces, I believe. I think maybe 2 ounces too. I don't usually sell it by the pound because I don't have a unlimited supply. I have to order this stuff and get it in. So I try not to let people just come and order it up like that. But if somebody has a special order, like I had somebody that wanted to get 3 pounds of it. And so like I explained to them, I add that onto my order, my monthly order to get 3 extra pounds, and then I'll get it in for you. So that's how we do that. If you want to get it in really big bulk, I put it extra on my order so that we're not running low on my supply. And the reason being is because I have a lot of cancer patients that I work with, a lot of cancer patients, a lot of diabetes and stuff. And I want to make sure that I have that especially on hand at all times.
Okay, so one more quick question. I could probably give you a phone call. So I gotta get your number, and can I find it on the website, or because I can ask all that stuff over the phone.
Yes, my number is on the website, and I will give my business number in one moment.
Okay, I'm hoping you guys can hear me now. Um, can we start wrapping it up? And again, thank you, Miss Stephanie. Um, and I did text you several questions. I didn't know if you wanted to cover those or wait till next time. But you done gave us 2 hours. You've been super, super gracious with your time. Um, thank you so much again.
Oh, you are welcome. I was just reading your questions. Can you take the hot out of the pepper? Absolutely not, because that hot is a chemical called capsaicin, and that is what actually eats the cholesterol and thens the blood. So you want that hot in there. I want to give my phone number. My business phone number is area code 734-589-0328. That's again 734-589-0328.
Okay, I got it. Good deal. Yeah, I'm gonna give you a call. I'm gonna definitely give you a call and order up with you.
Miss Stephanie, I want to say thanks again. This is Big C. I want to thank you very much. I do listen to the things that you say. It does help out a lot because I am in the middle of a lifestyle change. I don't like the word diet because diets are temporary, Whenever I do something, it is a permanent thing, but it goes through a lifetime. It goes through a cycle. So, I'm making steps, girl. I'm making steps. You know what I'm saying? Inch by inch, step by step.
Most definitely. And you know what? That's what's good, because that's what I want people to do, because people that do things in moderation and do progressive transitioning, they don't go back. They don't keep falling back like people do to try to just jump head in first. So that's awesome. There's a question that says recommendations for starting with smoothies. So what I'm going to do is post this in the Sovereign Roads. It's a nutritional guide that I have from Dr. CB. It is amazing. I love it. I use it all the time. Um, that's where you start. I personally, if you're diabetic, you don't need to be drinking a lot of fruits because your body's not breaking down sugars correctly. The best way for a diabetic, as far as the first of getting your body back alkaline and getting your pancreas healed, is to juice vegetables, especially green vegetables. They really heal the pancreas very well, as well as you will need a herbal regimen with diabetes and a diet change, because the pancreas is one of those things where you really basically have to clean out your whole system in order to get the pancreas to start healing itself. But I think there was some people last time on here that had type 1 diabetes. And I wanted to reiterate that too, since I'm talking about diabetes, because diabetes is reversible, whether it's type 1 or type 2. And those cells in the pancreas can replicate themselves. So anybody, I know they tell people that type 1 diabetes is permanent and you're never going to get off it, and your cells are dead, but your cells can replicate their cells. So it's just about you actually getting your body in a position to do that.
Yeah, I had a girl with type 1 tell me, you can't tell me food gonna do it for me. I got type 1 diabetes. I'm done. This is my life.
Oh, that's funny. You think that's funny, Boogie? So you got a melon head. Hey, hey, now I give Boogie a lot of respect, because Boogie actually helped me get off of red meat. So I give him his credit, but I'm still gonna hit him in top of his head. Um, but now that was my daughter that I had. I was the one that brought that question up about type 1 diabetes, and I bounced what you said off my best friend, who's a pharmacist, and if he had to bet money, he would bet money in your direction. And here's somebody he has his own pharmacy business. So, it does him no good to keep giving you medication, So that's why he said, hey, no, I would definitely think about what she's saying. So that if anybody that's listening, those that deal with medicine, even my sister-in-law, who's also a pharmacist. Yeah. So big props to you, Miss Stephanie. Keep doing what you're doing. Boogie, I'm still going to hit you in the top of the head.
I meant to say thank you too for coming through and spreading that information. I really appreciate it. I tell the guys in here, I love to hear things twice. And then when I hear something different, like, the deal with the lemons and some other things that you spoke on, that just causes you to go back in and, do some more research. And then, you come to your conclusion on yourself. And like I say, my ultimate is just, how my body, feels when I consume certain things. So yeah, I really appreciate it though, because it really helps me still.
I am so glad to hear that. So it's like, and I wanted you guys to also know that I am actually in 2018 going to be traveling more. I'm going to be traveling to different cities. I'm also going to be doing classes online as well. And I'll post more information about that, because I want people to understand how to heal themselves without having to come to me. I know a lot of people, especially in natural healing, they try to hoard all the knowledge to themselves, as well as doctors and pharmacies. They want to exploit people, but I feel like, to me, my blessing and my financial increase is in people being healed. And I don't have to hoard all of this knowledge to myself for people to be healed, because people, I am blessed. When I say I am blessed, I am above blessed. God takes care of me, and people just give to me all the time because I so freely give this knowledge. Somebody asked, can the kidneys be healed? 100%, absolutely. Your kidneys can be cleaned out. Your whole system can be reversed. Whoever has that kidney issue, please reach out to me, because I am really doing well with kidney patients right now. The kidney patients that are being obedient, because I've had two that will not stop eating the foods that they're not supposed to be eating. But the few that are actually listening to me and doing what they're supposed to do, their kidneys are improving. The woman I was telling you guys about that started urinating again, they actually sent her home from dialysis and told her she didn't even need dialysis that particular day because her kidneys were clean and the blood fine. So I'm trying to tell y'all, stop actually having these diseases, because you're carrying around diseases that you don't have to have. You know, you're carrying around a weight that it's already been set in stone that you don't have to carry around. So why are you walking around with this sickness disease when you don't have to? It just takes a little sacrifice and hard work, but it can be done.
And with that being said, the second part of the healing is probably should come with a support group or a 12-step program. I'm so hungry. But thanks again, Miss Stephanie. I will be in contact. We got to do this again. And everybody, please go to the website. Get your consultations. I strongly suggest getting your consultations.
Thank you so much for having me. I love coming here to talk to you guys. You guys are awesome. And make sure if you are on Facebook that you reach out to me, because I have a health and healing group, and I would love for you guys to be in it. And I constantly give so much information. I give information overload, and I would love for you all to be in the group to get that information as well. So make sure that if you are on Facebook that you reach out to me so I can add you to the group. You all have a blessed and prosperous day and safe driving out there, because in Michigan we're having a snowstorm.